One of the stars of Pawn Stars, Austin Russell, who goes by Chumlee, is tonight. The Las Vegas prison tension was high in the courtroom, as though the judge declared Austin's final verdict. Chumlee Russell couldn't handle his fate's weight fell and shockwaves of disbelief are sent through courtroom and abandoning spectators in astonished silence what triggered the intense emotions. Courtroom, which resulted in the startling conflict between the loving the justice and a reality TV celebrity system. Below is a detailed explanation of this was the outcome of an explosive court case. If this story piqued your interest, don't forget to share and like your friends. Please leave a comment with your ideas. Click the link below to subscribe to the channel's daily updates. Keep yourself updated on the latest events and interesting tales. Tune in to Chumlee, the beloved star of nowadays. Pawn stars are a reality. The funniest people on TV, he is renowned for his sense of humor, easygoing manner, and special capacity to add authenticity to each episode of the popular channel program is unique. He has worked for more than 10 years. Special occasions, such as when he purchased an expert pinball machine with his personal video games, have strengthened his position on television history. Outside of his noteworthy catchphrases, Chumlee left behind memorable catchphrases. His influence on the world goes much beyond television. Souvenirs to promote his involvement in visit the pawn shops for gold and silver notoriety and his conscious attempts to develop a personal brand that highlights his development. She transitioned from an ordinary employee of a pawn shop to a pawn shop to TV icon and cultural phenomenon. The foundation of Chumlee's success was his likability, inherent charm, and despite everything, he remains dedicated to being himself. He remains dedicated to being himself. Dedication to being himself in spite of early skepticism is frequently portrayed as the humorous nature of stereotyped, he turned down was evident. To be stereotyped instead, he used his commitment to mastering particular collectibles, ultimately guaranteeing the pawn plays a crucial role in cast of stars because to his performance, Chumlee received a valued position among supporters, solidifying his role as the show's breakout star. His ability is what really makes him stand out. To engage visitors with sincere depth and genuineness of his enduring impact reached viewers around the country. Making him well known outside of television, his business endeavors demonstrate his strategic thinking, as he effectively constructed his own. Chumlee established his personal brand through business endeavors such as candy clothes. His personal presence and line aided him gather millions, which this wealth subsequently provided his legal defense against startling charges that rocked his devoted fan base. Following Pawn Stars' triumph, Chumlee's career and the show both took various directions. The performance took soared following its premiere, becoming one of cable TV's most popular shows with more than 500 episodes available for streaming online, which is still blending its signature formula. Pawn Stars with a high output value became one of the most instructive reality TV entertainment programs. Chumlee, however, struggled with the difficulties that accompany celebrity, though the public loved the lovable right away. The persona they witnessed on film and his personal appearances drew a lot of attention. Throng demonstrating his appeal went well beyond the performance, yet the noticeable difference between his on-screen character and escalating personal challenges caused conflicts that persisted for years. I've had two very different lives. Chumlee claimed that being famous might make you feel I was determined to enjoy being invincible at all times, particularly when people knew me wherever I went. According to Chumlee, this motivation fueled a more lavish way of life when playing Pawn Stars remained grounded in historical artifacts. And talks about his private life prospered with a mansion and fancy automobiles. Featuring an extensive assortment of footwear and social media posts about jewelry that highlight his extravagant shopping expeditions accrued with millions of views. A public picture that contrasted sharply with his more modest beginnings. The mid-2010s saw a distinct comparison of Chumlee's career achievement and his growing level of luxury when both soaring Pawn Stars reached their zenith viewership with the painting of special episodes. More than 7 million viewers simultaneously. Chumlee's own brand expanded to include Chumlee's Sweet Store opened its doors on Street in Las Vegas and a prosperous product line that operates behind the scenes, but the demands of celebrity started to weigh hard on him, posing a risk to his profession. Chumlee frequently attributed his difficulties to the abrupt transition from anonymity to celebrity, transforming from a regular guy into someone who was unable to visit Walmart without I went nuts taking 500 pictures, he said. Acknowledged in an uncommonly open interview that, I resorted to items that might help me deal with it almost cost me everything. The pandemonium he encountered was a sharp contrast. Due to the growing professionalism of by 2016, the distance between his private reality and public persona had expanded so much as the Pawn Stars persisted to present Chumlee as the endearing fans of characters loved, and admirers loved the purity. Chumlee removed the camera from the screen. His life was changing in ways that were alarming. Would shortly reveal his years of increasingly careless actions ultimately caused legal issues in March. A police raid at his residence in Las Vegas in 2016 was first connected to an incident of sexual assault. Inquiry: We carried out a search warrant as a component of a continuing inquiry. Officer Rodriguez spoke at a press conference about a remark that swiftly went viral. News about entertainment outlets. What the authorities found during the search resulted in more charges that have nothing to do with the original investigation. The raid soon turned into a popular subject in the entertainment industry, with websites making assumptions about its possible effects on Chumlee as well as the Pawn Stars. A week later, TMZ disclosed startling information about firearms, drugs. There was paraphernalia at Chumlee's far from the happy character at home. This was a far cry from what audiences had come to appreciate. Cry from the admirers. Admiration for the humility. TVA fan posted on social media that went viral. After this circumstance has altered the how Chumlee is perceived in these tales, you clicked the subscribe button out of curiosity, thus don't miss a single one of our videos. Don't forget to tell your friends and family so you can investigate these together. These unexpected tales. Inform us your opinions in the comments section. What's your perspective on self-improvement through plastic surgery? Chumlee's appearance on the show never seemed to such as someone who possesses certain kind of concerns. The sharp disparity between his private reality and public image seems to be the decisive moment. In the weeks that followed, prosecutors assembled evidence and submitted several felonies against the reality TV personality, including ownership of weapons and substances that could a maximum 20-year prison term if found guilty on all charges. And accusations not only had serious legal repercussions but also presented a significant danger to the meticulously constructed public picture of Chumlee. The court cases rocked the entertainment sector, endangering the cornerstone of Chumlee's whole career, and experts in financial success conjectured that this might be the final chapter of one of the most well-known reality television court documents, revealing the personality's shocking information regarding the size of the findings at the home of Chumlee. Records of evidence revealed authorities discovered a variety of weaponry, including assault rifles, in addition to different chemicals and associated objects. But in a major turn of events, the first search was motivated by an examination of the alleged sexual attack. There were no charges brought against the alleged sexual assault because of inadequate proof, but the way of living Chumlee has developed a significant danger to public safety, and a legal action white paper suggested using the maximum fines determined by the amount and characteristics of the objects discovered on the trial's opening day. Creating a tense moment, Chumlee stepped into the flashes from the courtroom. Camera illuminated his gloomy look on his Pawn Stars co-workers were conspicuously absent, and the TV personality, who once amused millions of people, was now confronting the legal repercussions of his activities. That Your Honor requires in this circumstance severe infractions of controlled the laws pertaining to substances and firearms. The prosecutor started laying out the charges. The defendant's residence had an arsenal of munitions and a significant amount of unlawful tension in the courtroom due to chemicals displayed as images of the confiscated objects were shown on the Chumlee screen. Seen gazing at the ground, shook his head every now and again as especially harmful evidence was displayed throughout the interrogation, increasing the already incurred atmosphere. You testified that Mr. Russell was running a distribution center for drugs. The attorney for Operation Chumlee questioned the officer, raising concerns about the amount and kinds of chemicals discovered that suggest they were more than just for individual usage. Officer replied with assurance, but acknowledged that he didn't locate any scales. Materials for packaging or a distribution list usually connected to trafficking. The courtroom became very tense. As the guns were being testified about, in your opinion, Mr. Russell is a renowned collector of a variety of goods incorporating Chumlee's historical weapons. Attorney asked if a license is necessary for collecting An appropriate storage responded to the weaponry. Turley, an expert, providing an additional layer of intricacy of the case. Chumlee was clearly anxious. Muttering to his attorney when the judge reminded him to be quiet until referred to the witness stand, legal experts provided testimony regarding the possible rules for punishment, highlighting the fact that these fees frequently impose harsh prison terms on. Former lawyer James Wilson clarified that a mix of weapons and managed substances caused the situation to especially serious. The main point of Chumlee's defense was his lack of a past criminal history and a disagreement that his notoriety had led to impoverished ruling, asserting that his notoriety status had produced a setting where the distinction between typical and excessive became more hazy. My client was enmeshed in the chaos. Excessive excess impairing his ability to make, attorney argued, emphasizing that he never meant to be harmful and had been a public figure having a solid reputation in numerous ways. As the trial drew to a close and fans watched in increasing alarm. This was more than just a court case. It was the possible demise of a cherished TV personality whose attraction was stemming from his relatability and innocuous persona. Plea talks turned into a main emphasis of the lawyer trial, from both parties participating in tense conversations as in-depth conversations regarding possible fixes revealed that the case's ramifications went far beyond Chumlee's own safety, liberty, with the potential for him spending years behind bars. Additionally, considerations centered on his career with projected losses in the millions, a damaged image, and an uncertain future on Pawn Stars. Irrespective of the result, the courtroom was crowded on the last day, with some people were holding messages of solidarity while Pawn Stars were worn by others. The goods and the atmosphere were as electrifying as Judge Michael Davidson oversaw the proceedings. Chumlee was getting ready for sentence following consenting to enter a guilty plea in the state the judge started the case against him. He closely examined the judicial proceedings. The plea agreement reached by the defense and prosecution consider both the aggravating and mitigating elements. There was so little noise in the room that the rustle of documents was audible as Chumlee stood with his hands quivering a little that the defendant entered a guilty plea to one firearm-related charge and one charge pertaining to a small amount of drugs offense. The court went on to declare that the remaining charges were rejected as a condition of the contract. Chumlee's face stayed stiff while his attorneys looked at each other warily. But the court had to deal with the seriousness of the transgressions. The judge declared unequivocally that the ownership of illicit drugs and unregistered guns caused grave worries regarding the decision was unambiguous in terms of public safety. Chumlee would receive a 3-year sentence. For counseling must be completed throughout probation, as well as routine drug testing, and everything the items found during the raid would be taken away. However, the genuinely startling clause appeared as a be surprised if his probation was broken. Clauses would lead to an inevitable 3 years in prison without cause for a follow-up hearing in which the court agreed to the plea deal. With these circumstances, the judge then stated, "Mr. Russell, you have been given a sentence of 3 years of probation with rigorous compliance requirements oversight. Any infraction will lead to immediate 3-year incarceration. Do you comprehend these?" In actuality, this was a severe blow to Chumlee following months of unrest, particularly after confronting the possibility of after decades in prison. This occasion marked an important turning point in his life, but instead there was a surge of comfort, as the fact that he had actually come this close to losing everything, in addition to the understanding that his freedom now depended on flawless compliance, appeared to overtake him, causing his face to turn pale, of perspiration gathering on his brow as the judge went on to read the entire circumstances. The defendant was also needed to finish 200 hours of community service. The voice of the judge became more far away, overpowered by the booming in. As Chumlee heard, the courtroom started to spin, and his attorney saw it right away. Something was incorrect. Firmly grasping his arm, the attorney attempted to support him, but it wasn't sufficient. The reality TV personality who had suddenly, millions of people who were amused fell apart. Security hurried up to join him as his ragged breaths reverberated throughout the courtroom. The TV personality who had made a living off of his freewheeling in court attitude was now unresponsive as the entire world witnessed him give in to a panic assault. A member of the medical staff called out, making room by pushing through the crowd. Water was taken by someone while the medical photographers and the team hurried in. Encapsulated the chaotic scene. It soon took over the entertainment industry. Chumlee the Beloved's news around the world. The personality of the Pawn Stars was being handled on the floor of the courtroom. His court battle's emotional toll has finally appeared outdoors. Rick Harrison was spotted in court, going to see his friend and co-worker for a short period as fans congregated in many groups of people are shocked. At the case's dramatic conclusion, the medical drama swiftly took center stage. The court decision as amusement. Social media and internet flourished with concern, with fans saturating platforms to express their worries. Updated and encouraging communications with hashtags like #StrongHatchChumlee and the Pawn Star family dominated social media. 3 days later, the media is still trembling, yet returning his trademark grin. Chumlee made a home video statement public. Having to deal with the fallout from my actions appears to have made me anxious. Described making a feeble attempt at the doctor advises me to make fun of better decisions. I'm sure he's addressed the issue of his health. Seems to initiate a significant change in Chumlee's public image in an unexpected turn, the History Channel intervened. Said to be in favor of his ongoing participation in the show following recuperation. According to an unnamed source, his legal issues were perceived by the network as a chance for genuine atonement plot when official representatives would not validate upcoming plans or remark about certain arrangements. Chumlee's subsequent assertion contained a distinct voice. I let my reputation to impair my judgment. I committed errors that had the potential to cost me everything, he claimed. His expression was extremely solemn. I'm thankful for this moment. And I swear to my supporters that I won't waste it, Chumlee said. Claimed that the entertainment industry was humming with speculating about potential future events. This court case had altered his course. And as an experienced reality TV personality, the crowd was captivated by tales of redemption. Chumlee now possessed a genuine story to convey to the media. Observers observed that he appeared concentrated on his respectable commercial endeavors while adhering to all court regulations. Social internet was inundated with requirements fans, with encouraging remarks regarding his possible comeback, but no formal confirmation was provided. When specifically questioned about his return, to neither Chumlee nor the television network gave a precise timeframe. Chumlee provided a considerate response. At the moment, I'm concentrating on becoming wholesome and making wiser choices. For many years, show has been a part of my family. And I want to once more make them proud. The court case was formerly regarded as the possible termination of his career had surprisingly become a pivotal moment. Pawn Stars continued to be popular, with a large following showing support for Chumlee's final appearance in the series that brought him fame. For those who have been following his path from an unidentified pawn shop worker to this courtroom drama is a television star. Acts as an intense reminder of the dangers of stardom and the fallout that left viewers stunned. Wasn't just a man's gesture. His breaking point, which it might also indicate the start of a more genuine public persona that appears behind the. What are your thoughts on the carefree character? Regarding how celebrity affects personal assessment.